Stop what you're doing. Read this until the end, because if you've gotten this far, it's no coincidence. Something inside you is changing. And this time it's real. It's irreversible. You might not be able to explain it, but you feel it. It's no longer that shock or confusion from before. Now it's as if everything is quietly falling into place. A subtle, powerful, and inevitable clarity has begun to sprout within you. The third awakening doesn't arrive with explosions. It invades with naked truth. No noise, no spectacle, just a calm certainty. You can no longer fool yourself. The questions have changed. You stopped shouting, "Why is this happening to me?" and started asking yourself, "What is this teaching me about myself?" And that changes absolutely everything. You don't react like before. Not because you stopped caring, but because you understood that your energy is too sacred to be spent on anything. The old you didn't disappear, it evaporated. It's a silent turning point. You enter a chaotic environment, and instead of being sucked in, you remain. It's not arrogance. It's internal sovereignty. You don't need to prove anything. Your emotions no longer ask for permission to exist. They simply are. And you feel them with dignity, neither sinking into them nor running away from them. And here's what no one tells you. True healing isn't noisy. It happens in the emptiness, in slowing down. Messages stop. Connections dissolve. Plans no longer make sense. At first, this feels like loss. But soon you realize it's divine protection. What used to attract you now tires you. What once defined you now seems like a distant character. You start looking in the mirror and feel strange about your own reflection. Not in a negative way, but like someone who finds a new version of themselves and can hardly believe how much they've changed. Your voice sounds different. Your thoughts are clearer. Even your physical presence in the world seems to vibrate at a different frequency. And yes, it's confusing. It's spiritual. It's real. The third awakening marks a point of no return. There's no unseeing what you've seen. There's no fitting in where you no longer belong. You no longer show up to be accepted. You show up fully. And that changes everything. Your subconscious opens. Old memories emerge. There's an internal cleansing happening that no therapist could choreograph. And maybe the biggest shift of all, you no longer try to heal everything. You simply feel. You witness. You honor. Pain doesn't ask for explanation, only presence. The anxiety in your body is no longer a puzzle. It's a language. And you've learned to listen. You no longer want recycled toys, old cycles, approval loops. It's not disinterest. It's maturity. You stopped feeding the shadow with what it wanted and started nourishing the spirit with what it needs. And in this space, you understand. Tranquility is not emptiness. It's strength. You're not disconnecting from the world. You're actually connecting for the first time. Not with what is superficial, but with what is eternal. Don't be mistaken. This is the moment. This is the sign. You are in the third awakening. And there is no return. Only expansion. Are you ready to truly live this? If you feel that something invisible is rearranging inside you, don't ignore it. This is the call. It's not imagination. It's not weakness. It's deep transition. Your peace is becoming a priority. Your energy more selective. You start moving differently, not out of obligation, but out of awareness. It's no longer about healing the mind or fixing old wounds. It's something more subtle, more energetic. The body speaks. The throat tightens. Anger rises. Pain appears in the muscles, the back, the stomach. But it's not just physical. It's accumulated energy finally asking to be released. You're no longer trying to explain yourself. You're not seeking validation. Tears come without reason. Laughter arises amidst the chaos. A comfortable silence settles in. And not because you gave up, but because you reconnected. The third awakening doesn't require you to understand everything. It just invites you to remember. That's it, remember. Who you were before you forgot. Before being conditioned. Before the world told you who you should be. And suddenly, time stops working the way it used to. Days blend together. Memories feel like dreams. And the future, you feel it calling you, as if it's already there, waiting for your presence. You're not losing control. You're finally letting go of what you never controlled. And that changes everything. Synchronicities appear. People from the past return with meaning. Number sequences, unexpected messages, inexplicable sensations. You're not crazy. You're accessing something greater. A consciousness your first two awakenings only scratched. Now you've dived in. Your soul has started a new cycle. You realize you no longer need to run, prove, convince. Change doesn't shout, it settles. Your choices change. Your habits change. Your circle changes. But not by impulse. By instinct. You simply know what no longer makes sense. What no longer vibrates. What no longer sustains your frequency. And while the world outside continues to speed up, you slow down. Not out of tiredness, but out of clarity. Sleeping becomes more important than overthinking. Eating mindfully nourishes you more than 1,000 distractions. Speaking calmly, listening with intention, walking with purpose. All of this stops being effort and becomes a natural response. You are no longer trying to escape the pain. You are facing it. You are transmuting it. You realize that suffering did not come from the world, but from your interpretation of it. From attachments. From expectations. From the weight of carrying how things should have been. And when that weight breaks, freedom is born. You stop fighting to be right. You stop fighting to be understood. And instead, you choose peace. Actively. With intention. As a practice. You empty yourself before reacting. You breathe before responding. You allow before resisting. This tranquility didn't come by chance. It is a vibrational achievement. It is embodied spirituality. You understand that peace is not the absence of chaos. It is conscious presence in the midst of it. It's not a reward. It's a skill. And the more you practice it, the more you remember, it has always been here. Are you ready to live this powerful silence? To choose your energy wisely? The third awakening has already begun. And now you choose the pace. You are not going crazy. You are awakening. And when this happens for the third time, nothing in the world can convince you to return to what wasn't true. This phase is less about seeking answers and more about stopping the fight with the questions. You no longer need to argue with life to feel what is already yours. A silent revolution begins inside your own mind. And this time, it's irreversible. Before, your thoughts controlled everything. They were commands you obeyed without question. If they said you were inadequate, you believed it. If they suggested everyone was judging you, you shrank away. If they predicted the worst, you prepared for the end. Now, you listen, but you don't follow. You begin to question. Where does this thought come from? Is it really mine? Who taught me to think this way? And often the answer is silence, because these thoughts weren't born with you. They were inherited, absorbed, planted. They are echoes from the past, from trauma, from culture, from collective fear. And when this clarity arrives, you stop feeding the chaos. You no longer chase the mental solution for every emotional spiral. You let it pass. You choose what you internalize. And for the first time, your mind becomes what it always should have been, a tool, not a master. You react less. Observe more. Breathe before you speak. Listen before you conclude. Because now clarity comes from silence. From the space between one thought and another. From the body, not control. From presence, not programming. This stillness transforms everything. Old identities die, one by one, without ceremony. Old ties fall away. Beliefs collapse. But instead of feeling lost, you feel reborn. The third phase of awakening is not about leaving behind. It's about finally recognizing that you never needed that. Your way of loving changes. Your boundaries solidify. You stop asking permission to be who you are. You no longer seek alignment, you become it. You don't look for the truth, you embody it. What was tolerable becomes unbearable. What was confusing is now clear. What was desire reveals itself as distraction. This transformation is brutal, beautiful, and sacred. It doesn't come with medals. You can't post it on a story. There's no visible proof, but everything in you has changed. The way you walk, what you allow, what you pursue, what you keep silent. If you get this far, not because of incapacity, but because many retreat at the first real discomfort. Most stay on the surface, where it's safe. But if you are healing wounds, even tired, even in silence, even misunderstood, then you are one of the few. And this place is rare. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not strange. You are awakening again. But now it's different. It's permanent. If all of this resonates with you, understand, it's no coincidence. You crossed the invisible line. You are already in the third phase. And from now on, everything changes. Silently, powerfully, irrevocably. And if you've made it this far, there's one more thing you need to know. During the third awakening, your external life may even look the same. The same places, the same routines, the same faces. But inside, everything is different. And this creates a very specific kind of loneliness. Not the lack of people, but the absence of resonance. You feel as if you're moving through the world with eyes that no one else has. Superficial conversations lose their meaning. Small conflicts no longer pull you down. What once irritated you now seems like noise. And what once seduced you now sounds empty. You begin to notice how much of the life around you is running on autopilot. People reacting, fleeing, seeking distractions like anesthetics. But you can no longer go back to that. You have seen too much, felt too much, awakened too much. It is at this stage that you discover the value of inner silence. Silence becomes the place where you rebuild yourself, where you hear things no one taught you, but that have always been inside you. Ancestral truths, forgotten wisdoms, memories that never happened in linear time, but your soul instantly recognizes. You realize that your healing was never about understanding everything rationally. It was about stopping the race, about stopping trying to fix yourself as if you were a problem, about finally accepting that peace doesn't come from controlling life, but from being whole in it. And with that comes surrender, letting go, not passive, not resigned, but lucid surrender. You begin to live with both feet inside your own experience, even when it hurts, even when it's uncertain, because now you no longer need guarantees. You need truth. You want presence, not promises. The third awakening also teaches you how to die without dying, to bury versions of yourself in silence, with honor, with love. You stop resisting impermanence. You begin to see the end of things not as failures, but as invitations. Invitations to what comes after the ego, after control, after the should be. And with that arises a spiritual maturity that cannot be bought in any course. It comes from the dark night of the soul, from the moment when you sit on the floor, not knowing what to do, and yet choose to continue. Choose to breathe. Choose to trust. You begin to realize that true alignment is not static. It is alive, and because of that, it will ask you for constant changes, delicate adjustments, courage to abandon what yesterday seemed essential, and wisdom to recognize what today silently frees you. People may call you strange, distant, different, but you no longer defend yourself, because there is no longer any need for explanation. You know who you are, and those who don't understand don't need to. You no longer live to be understood. You live to be whole. And then comes a point you might not even notice at the time, when you look in the mirror and no longer recognize yourself for who you were, but for who you are becoming. There is no longer a character. There is only you. This is the true miracle of the third awakening. You no longer want to convince anyone. You no longer want to save anyone. You no longer want to prove anything. You want to live with soul, with integrity, with awareness. You stop chasing belonging and begin to build a home within yourself. Because now you know, the world may spin, people may leave, cycles may close, but you remain. Your truth remains. Your silence remains. Your peace remains. If this spoke to you, don't ignore it. You didn't find this video by accident. Maybe this is the confirmation your soul was silently asking for. Maybe now you understand why everything had to happen exactly as it did. You are not alone on this journey. You are only among the few who dared to cross the invisible. And on the other side, there is a whole life waiting to be lived by you. Not by the version you thought you had to be, but by the one you finally became.